What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Tyler, or DeathlyiAm, and I am bringing you some throwback action on the map of Favela for the game of Modern Warfare 2 with the Silenced Vector, with a phenomenal final score of 111 kills. But before we go more in depth with the gameplay here and start with the commentary, I kind of wanted to outline where I was going to take this video and what I was going to do with the commentary. Now, before I had my surgery, as some of you might know, I ran a video on my channel called the Serious Sunday Sit Down, where I discussed exactly what I was having my surgery for and what that entailed over a double nuke mini Uzi gameplay. And I don't know, I just seem to save my best gameplays for my more serious commentaries for some reason. But what this commentary is going to be is another serious Sunday sit-down, I guess you could call it, of me outlining exactly how video games and the online community that comes along with that standard, I guess you could call it, of playing those video games helped me to cope with being autistic and overcoming and adjusting to the tendencies that come along with that particular mental disability. As some of you might know, I have Asperger's syndrome, which can cause a lot of different things. It is a form of autism. It is on the... Now, autism in itself can vary quite widely on the autistic scale, I guess you could describe it as. There's people who can't even talk and have to use cue cards to describe what they want, and they're also deemed autistic. And then you have Asperger's syndrome, which can range anywhere from mild to severe. And Asperger's syndrome is autism, but it's a mental deficiency or a disability in which individuals have various social anxieties and issues interacting with one another and others as they go throughout their day-to-day life, I guess. What I have, like I said, is Asperger's syndrome, and I would say mine was, when I was initially brought into this world, courtesy of my parents, was varying on the mildly severe. I didn't like to be touched. I was very sensitive to textures. I didn't like talking to people. I was very particular about the clothing I wore, and it was just a very antisocial individual as a kid. And lots of therapy and great people that I've met along the way, as well as this YouTube scene, has helped me to take from mildly severe to almost non-existent. If you were to meet me in real life and didn't know anything about me, you would never in a million years guess that I'm autistic. And I guess, I don't know if I should be proud of that or just take it to heart that I've made a lot of progress. And so, in my particular instance, I want to start with my YouTube story, or let's back things up. Before I talk about my YouTube story, I want to more discuss Xbox and how I got started with that. Now, I initially moved to Wisconsin 8 years ago this August, and when I first moved here, I had just bought myself an Xbox, or we'd gotten one as a Christmas present. My brother and his friends were playing it, and it looked fun. We had Halo, and I was doing okay, and I was somewhat good at the game, and I just really enjoyed the attention that took for me. Now, with autism or Asperger's syndrome, there's usually one key notifying factor that you can identify individuals that have this disability with, and one of it could be, their social anxiety. Another would be their, I guess you could say, mastery or of one particular knowledge base. If you know somebody that has Asperger's syndrome or is autistic, I guarantee that there's one thing that clearly defines them. In my school, there was a kid who knew anything and everything having to do with trains. You hear stories about autistic children that have memorized the entire phone book or haven't memorized the zip codes for the entire United States, and they know it off the top of their head because that's the one facet that they know anything and everything about. Now, for the back half of this commentary, I want to discuss where exactly I've been taken on my journey through video games and YouTube, and how all of those have helped me to cope with my personal difficulties, I guess you could say, in social interaction. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Yes, when I first moved to Wisconsin, moving is very tough. As if you've ever moved, you know the toughest part about it is finding friends. When you first move, there's so many new faces and people to meet, and it's so hard to find your particular niche of individuals. The younger you are, the easier it is, I would imagine, but again, it can be harder as you're younger because you don't know exactly what you're looking for in friends. So when I first moved here, I fell in with a great group of guys who I'm still friends with today, 8 years later, great friends, and what they introduced me to was the online component as opposed of playing Xbox. We all had Xboxes. You can all get the same game and play online and interact, and that constant online interaction takes an individual who is socially awkward, and they're talking to a computer screen, so it's not that terrible fear of talking to somebody in person. And I guess over the years, as I kept playing Xbox and having fun with my friends online, meeting people in lobbies and forming those relationships, your social interaction and your ability to socialize increases. You become more confident because you've had the experience, you've had the practice. Whether as nerdy or weird as it sounds, the online interaction nurtured me in a way and allowed me to cultivate a better understanding of how to interact with people. AC-130 is just doing work here. Sorry I'm not talking about the gameplay too much, but let's go ahead and get things rolling again. As I was saying, so that's where I was with that, and as we got older, my friends started to do things like the Optic Challenge. One of my friends bought a Dazzle, started doing the YouTube scene. My other friend borrowed his Dazzle, made a montage, and I'm like, wow, this kind of stuff looks really cool. I'd love to get into it. Borrowed the Dazzle, some of that gameplay is still up on my channel, and it grew from there. This YouTube community, as much as people bash it, it's not the commentators. It's very rare that you meet a commentator that isn't genuine and down to earth. So, as I grew my channel and posted content, you meet people, and watching other people that you enjoy their content and finding out who their friends are and getting in with them. And it was just all thanks to people I've met online that really bounced me into this YouTube scene, and directly I can see a link between when I started doing commentaries to when my confidence in interacting with people in both a virtual and in-person interaction skyrocketed. It's phenomenal for me to sit back and look at all the progress I've made and my ability to take any situation and interact in whatever capacity is necessary of that situation. I can go to my grandparents' surprise birthday party and interact with people that are 50 years older than me that I don't have a damn thing in common with. But, it doesn't faze me anymore. And another thing that was with my particular autism, sarcasm was very hard for me to pick up with. But again, YouTube, sarcasm's pretty intensive, and so you learn to adjust, and you pick up on things that people normally wouldn't, and it just has allowed me to grow as an individual as well as grow, I think, into the man I want to be. And so with that being said, I personally am looking forward to continuing to grow, and I feel like YouTube's done wonders for me, and it's time to give back and just show people what YouTube can do for them. So thank you guys for listening. I do appreciate it. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Take care, guys. Peace.